What is poppin'? I'm jazzed about today's conversation. I really can't wait because this is one of my absolute favorite things to talk about. I've definitely thrown this into some episodes here and there, but I don't think I've done a full episode on this, maybe not in this way. And I'm really excited about it because I really want you to understand why dairy actually causes hormone imbalances, because this is something that could be like really like tripping some people up of just like not understanding why, or thinking it's just coming from diet culture of trying to cut certain things out and, being like, oh, but I love my cheese. Like, I don't want to get rid of it. Like, so what we're really talking about is the science behind it, like why dairy actually does cause hormone imbalances. And I want to have this conversation with you because this came up with a friend of mine. She reached out to me and she was like, Corinne, I'm struggling right now. I've got some period issues going on. Like I've been, working on them for a really long time. Like they were regulated and like now I don't know what happened. And I haven't really changed anything. Da da da. And she started like saying a couple things. She was like, I added some dairy back in once in a while, but it's like organic. So I'm only having it here and there. But I'm experiencing more painful periods and a little bit of acne. And now my periods are kind of like all over the place. And I'm noticing that they're not coming regularly. She's like, so I just don't know what happened. And also she stopped taking supplements. So that was a whole other thing. But anyway, the whole point of this conversation was because number one, we sometimes don't realize how much something actually can affect our hormones if we don't know the science behind it. And number two, one of the main things that she said was, I started adding dairy in here and there because I wanted to get more protein in. That's another conversation. But it's all organic. So like, it's all good. And yes, obviously, organic is better than not because it's not adding additional hormones. The chickens are, and the cows, I mean, the chickens, well, yeah, depending if you're talking about eggs, but the cows have a better life and like no antibiotics and all of that. Obviously, that's so much better. However, dairy is dairy is dairy, whether it is organic or not. It is still coming from a cow that was pregnant. And this is what we're going to talk about. So, exactly why dairy actually causes hormone imbalances. So, if you think about where the milk is coming from, right? And this is whether you're actually having cheese or milk or whatever it is, it's coming from a cow that was pregnant, right? Obviously, that's where it's coming from. And in their quote unquote, postpartum period, when they're like being milked, just like with humans, your hormones are heightened. Your hormones are very, different levels than at a time when you weren't pregnant. And what's happening when you're intaking dairy is that you're taking in the hormones from another mammal. We are actually the only mammals on the planet that drink another mammal's milk. Okay, that's another conversation too. But you're taking in the hormones that are in that postpartum cow into your body. And these hormones that we're taking in, they actually mimic our own production of estrogen. And obviously it's not the same because it's not our, human species, it's a cow, so it's different type of estrogen. So it's not like, oh, it's fine, it's just like giving us some good estrogen that we need. Like, no, it's not the same as our estrogen, but because it mimics it, our body gets confused. And when it comes into our body, again, whether that's you consuming milk or cheese or yogurt or whatever it is, when it comes into your body, we have hormone receptors in our body. And hormone receptors, what that means is there's these little like places, right? Let's just make this easy to understand. There's these little places throughout our body where our hormones latch onto to do the job that they need to do. That's the hormone receptor. It's like each hormone's home. Okay. So when we are taking in another mammal's hormone, specifically, we're talking about a cow right now, it comes into our body and it latches onto our hormone receptors because our body thinks that it's our production of estrogen. So it's like, okay, let's go onto your hormone receptor and do what you need to do. The problem that this causes is that we are still producing our own estrogen within our body. And now our own production of estrogen does not have a hormone receptor to go on to because the ones from the cow took that over. So now our estrogen is floating around in the body and the bloodstream. It's like, what the fuck? Where do I go? Like my home is being occupied by somebody else. So it's floating around in the body and it causes these excess estrogen symptoms. which is very, very common hormone imbalance, which is why I am so huge on people reducing or removing dairy from their life if you do have a hormone imbalance, because some of these symptoms, what they could look like are cramps, like really, really painful periods. Doesn't even have to be really, really painful. Anything that's like greater than 3 on the scale, I would consider cramping, because that's not normal. We should not have pain during our period. You will feel some like heaviness, and you might notice that, like, you have your period, but it should be nothing where you feel pain. So cramps are an example of excess estrogen. Really heavy periods or long periods, like periods that are like longer than 7 days. Your cycle is irregular. It's not coming at a consistent time. You're not ovulating consistently. You could possibly have digestive issues. This could look like constipation, or, like bloating, stuff like that. Migraines, acne, fertility issues, all of these things can be coming from excess estrogen. So, and this is the reason why. Again, because you're intaking another mammal's hormones, they're mimicking our own production of estrogen, they're latching onto our hormone receptors. So our production of estrogen is now floating around in the body, not knowing where to go, not knowing where to do. And now our body has like excess amount of estrogen where it has to do something with it, right? And also dairy can really mess up your gut, and your gut is where we absorb and we recirculate estrogen if we need more of it, or we get rid of it out of the body. But if the dairy is also messing up your digestion, it's not going to be able to properly do that. So it just causes all of these imbalances, specifically with your estrogen levels. So this is why, if you are someone who has an irregular period, you have any of the symptoms I just experienced, you're struggling with your fertility or your skin or your digestion, like, I cannot recommend removing or reducing, or just like slowly removing dairy from your life. I cannot recommend it more. And of course, you do you. Okay. Maybe you're someone, you're like, I don't have any of these symptoms. Like, I'm feeling really good. I feel great on dairy. Like, that's amazing. Okay. Whatever you want to do. However, I have never experienced somebody where they cut out dairy and they didn't see significant improvements. I am a perfect example of this, as are all of my clients, especially my clients who have painful periods, who have acne, who have digestive issues, who have irregular periods. Like, this has been so, so helpful. Obviously, it's not the only thing that we're doing, right? This is just literally, I teach this in one video throughout the entire Mind Your Hormones method course. So there's like so many other things that go into getting pregnant, regulating your period, getting better digestion, like all these things. But this is a huge piece to it. And I really stand by this, because this was the thing that really made a huge difference for me, really helped with my PCOS. It really helped reduce my inflammation levels. I mean, it's helped my clients' periods so much, like their energy levels, their skin, like literally everything. So if you are working on your cycle, your fertility, I really want you to consider cutting this out. And a lot of times we'll be like, oh, but I just have it like once in a while. And we don't think that it's really going to make a big difference, but a lot of times it actually does. So you can either, again, you do you wherever you're at in your journey with this, but my recommendation is to either slowly reduce it or completely cut it out all at once, whatever feels best for you. Some people are like an all or nothing personality. Some people like to slowly do it, and see how you feel within. I mean, you'll notice quickly. Dairy comes out of your body like pretty quickly. You will notice a difference within a couple of weeks. And then once you go, like, I would say like at least 2 or 3 weeks without it, and then have it again, and you're going to notice a difference, because a lot of times we don't know how something actually affects us until we cut it out for a certain period of time, and then we have it again. Almost every single one of my clients will be like, Corinne, I went like 3 weeks without dairy, and then I was at a party or something and I had a piece of pizza and I was like, oh my God, I felt horrible after. I felt so tired. My poop was all weird. I was like, oh my God, that's all I needed to see. Like, now that gives me the motivation to keep going. And I love when that happens, because it's when you see the actual physical result in your body that you are like, damn, that's all I needed to know that this is actually helping me. And that's never to say that you could never have a piece of pizza again. Or first of all, there is vegan pizza, but you know what I'm saying? Of course you can, but you're going to notice the difference. And that is what is most important to me, is you actually seeing how something affects your body and knowing that it is making a difference. And again, it's not to say that you can never have it, but if you are like interested in this, do an experiment, cut it out for a little bit, add it back in, and see how it changes for you. Excuse me. Now, what I did was milk, honestly, is such an easy thing for people. People are like, milk is not an issue. I'm already doing unsweetened almond milk. I'm already doing unsweetened hemp milk or organic soy milk, like whatever it is. A lot of times people have issues with cheese, and that was my biggest issue. And that's because, newsflash, it's literally addictive. So that's why it's so freaking hard to cut out. But now there are so many alternatives, and awesome alternatives that have good ingredients that aren't like, I'm just going to call them out, Daya. They have shitty vegetable oils in there. Like, I do not recommend having that. They are inflammatory to our system. Obviously, if it's a situation where that's all that's available and I'm at a party or whatever, but they have vegan pizza that has Daya cheese on it, like, I'm going to eat it. I'd rather eat that than the actual dairy, because dairy is just a hard no for me. It's just a no. So obviously that's, a situation that I could be put in. However, when you're purchasing it on your own, there's so many good alternatives now that it's honestly so much easier to make the switch. And you could either decide, like when I first started getting rid of dairy, I was having cheese at like almost every single meal. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to not have it I'm just going to only have it for dinner. Right? I'm going to cut it out of my breakfast and my lunch. I'm just going to have dairy for dinner. And then once I got used to that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to have it on the weekends. And then once I got used to that, I was like, all right, I'm just going to have it when I go out to dinner. And even by that point, and that was even like, cause I would have yogurt for a snack and stuff too. So I was slowly cutting all of that out and just being like, okay, I'm only going to have it in this situation, this situation. Okay, now I'm just going to have it when I go out to dinner. And because I had reduced it so much at that point already, I was like, I don't even want it anymore, because I'm already noticing how much better I feel. And that is what made me be like, forget it. I don't want it at all anymore. So you could slowly do it like that, or you could just be like, I'm not even having it that much. Let me just completely cut it out. And I want to give you some of my favorite alternatives if this is something that you do want to try out. So for cheeses, my favorite brands are Good Planet, Miyokos, and Veal Life. Love, love, love those. They have shredded, they have like sliced cheeses, they have like cream cheeses. Kite Hill also is another great one for like cream cheeses and stuff. Those are my top ones for actual like cheeses, again, like shredded or sliced, stuff like that. For yogurt, I personally don't like almond milk yogurt. I don't really like the consistency of it. I don't think it mimics regular yogurt. So I personally like coconut milk yogurt or even cashew milk yogurt. So a lot of popular one is So Delicious. And I like that brand for ice cream if you're going to have ice cream. But the yogurt brand, it has more ingredients in it than are honestly necessary. And I personally love Cocoa June. I think it tastes way better. It has better ingredients. It has more minimal ingredients. So I like Cocoa June. They're so freaking good. Like, it's amazing. And I also like Siggy's plant-based one. They do have dairy ones, but they have a plant-based one. The only thing that I don't love about this one is that it does have a higher sugar content, where Cocoa June, you get it unsweetened. There's no sugar in it. But I alternate between Cocoa June and Siggy's, because Siggy's does have some sugar in it, but it has a higher protein content, which is really important to me right now. While at the time of this recording, I'm currently pregnant. So I alternate between those two. Forager is another good one, and that's cashew milk yogurt. So those are the ones I like for that. As far as nut milks, again, there are a lot of brands that have like a lot of shitty ingredients that are in stuff. Like, that's just goes with anything. Just because it's vegan or not dairy doesn't mean that it's good for you, right? We have to look at the ingredients and make sure that we're not just getting stuff that's loaded with a ton of, shit that's processed and all of that. So I really like Malk and Elmhurst. Those are two really good ones. Khalifa is good too. It has a little bit more stuff in it, but that's definitely probably more available for people sometimes than Malk or Elmhurst. Those might be harder to find. And I also like, for soy milk, I like Eden of Life soy, making sure that it's always organic when you get soy, because it is a high GMO crop. So always make sure it's organic, and then making sure that the nut milks are unsweetened as well. There's no need to have sugar in that. It's just an added thing in there that you don't need. So those are some of my favorite alternatives. I did a reel on this. I'll link it below. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much just the brands that I just told you. But I'll link it there if you want to like save it or something, so you have it, that you could refer back to. but I really just wanted you to understand the science behind it and for you to do an experiment. Just experiment in your body and see if you do notice a difference. I guarantee you most likely will. But again, do it for a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks where you're like, okay, I'm having it here and there, but I mean like a couple of weeks of once you fully cut it out at that point, if you're slowly doing it, fully cut it out for a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, and then have it again and see the difference in your body, because that's the motivation to keep going. And that's also going to really let you know how it's actually affecting your body. Even though you might not notice it right away if it's related to your period, but if you will notice it sometimes with your digestion, with your acne, with energy levels, with your sleep, stuff like that. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you understand the reason why dairy actually does cause hormone imbalances and how it could negatively impact our hormones. So share this with a friend. Please come DM me and let me know what you thought of this episode. I love hearing from you. I love hearing what's going on in your world. It means the freaking world to me when you message me and say like, oh my God, I've been listening to the podcast for so long, or I'm a new listener and I love it. Like I'm binging everything. Like I just love hearing from you. So I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you sharing this with your friends, subscribing, leaving a review, like doing all the things, because it really, really helps other people find this show. And I pour my heart and soul into this because I really want to help people and I want this to get out to as many people as possible. And that you sharing with someone else is like the greatest gift of all. So I thank you so much in advance. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and I will talk to you soon.